JT, what is up, man? How are you doing?
Good, good. How you
Good.
doing?
I'm great, man. Spring is seems like it's right around the corner. I'm ready to get on the water, but we're gonna talk about gear today. I'm excited about this one. Thank you guys for joining us again. Let's get into it, man.
A lot of feedback that we get a lot of questions about kayak fishing gear. Like, what do you need? What don't you need? And I think we come at it today from two different angles. I am definitely more of a newbie in the last year or so. I'm more of a pleasure angler, have not done any tournaments yet. So a lot of my gear is based towards just efficiency and kind of just trying to get more enjoyment on the water. And then I think
Yeah.
maybe you could talk more about some of the advanced things you have on your mothership.
Yeah, man. Here at the shop, whenever someone's coming to buying a kayak, once they got, we talked about what to look for when you're buying a kayak and all that. But the first two things we recommend is a life jacket and a paddle. Depending on the kayak you have, if it's motorized or pedal drive or paddle, like you still need a paddle. You still need a life jacket. Most states require you to have a life jacket, on their kayak with you, whether you wear that or not. Um, but it's just one of those things. Like you're better off to have it, you know, wearing it just in case something happens. You hear all these horror stories. People went out and didn't have their life jackets on, and this and that, and it's just sad to hear. But life jackets is one of those things that can really, make or break your day.
A comfortable one too. I made that mistake in the beginning too. I kind of just bought, something off Amazon that was just trying to look and save some money too. And then it was only a year later I bought an actual kayaking one. The way the back pad sits and stuff in those kayak fishing chairs, if you just buy a cheap generic one from a local store or one from Amazon, you're going to be kind of lurched over in your chair. And I didn't realize on a long day in the water how big of a difference that can make too.
Yeah, 100%. And, we talk about seats and seats heights and all that. And I mean, life jacket falls into that criteria, making a 4-hour float trip, turn into an 8-hour float trip because you're comfortable. Your typical, life jacket looks like this, the normal Walmart, Amazon one. It's got the full back. Um, are these good? They'll serve their purpose. Are they meant for kayaking? Maybe not. I guess it just depends on what you're doing. If you're just going out and relaxing, you're not worried, if that's comfortable to you. But when you look at more fishing or kayak, paddling, life jackets, you want something, with a high back and I've got some here we can check out. JT, do you carry anything? Like, do you have pockets in your life jacket or anything like that?
Yeah, I actually ended up upgrading to the NRS life jacket that has, yeah, a bunch of fish. I don't know. I picture it. It's very close to what my trout fishing vest is. So yeah, pliers. At least my fishing license is now quite handy in the front pocket.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's little things like it can help make your experience a little bit more efficient too by just having some of the gear that you use a lot, kind of in a lot of those front pockets and spaces. So also, what I've noticed is by having a more comfortable life jacket that fits better and fits in those seats, you actually keep it on.
Yeah.
Uh, you just talked about the horror stories, and I have to admit that in the beginning, I was pretty bad about just kind of draping that over the back of my seat. And, you never really know when you're going to hit a snag or any of that kind of stuff that might dump you out of your kayak. So if you're wearing something that's comfortable and breathable, you kind of forget it's on, and then it's always on for that safety. Those big, like that one you showed first, those big heavy ones that don't breathe well, there's a better chance that you're going to take that off because it's not comfortable, and then you're just putting yourself at risk.
Yeah, for sure. And I've got this is an NRS one, but this is a more basic one that has, front pockets on it. It's got the high back, and that's what we're talking about. That's going to sit up higher than that seat. But this one's got two pockets in the front. It's got a little spot where you can put like a knife or a tether or something like that you can hook onto there. And then it's completely adjustable as far as the sides, the top, so you can really dial that into whatever size person you are, whether you want it loose or tight or whatever. We talk about more advanced anglers. If they're fishing tournaments or anything like that, they've got to have it on there the whole time. It's just part of one of those rules. Just takes the thought process of safety out of it. But this one's super basic one. This is the Clearwater by NRS, super simple, life jacket. The next step up, like on the NRS one, is the Chinook. This is a really good one because it's got tons of pockets. You talk about putting your fishing license, putting in different stuff in here. This is really cool because you can put your phone in here. It's big enough to hold a phone, and there's spots in there where you can actually put like a tether, different stuff like that. They've got different, little pockets inside there as well. Um, but the back again, super breathable, super comfortable. Those both are very NRS. Um, I would say for like the advanced anglers, it's probably the standard for them. Um, just one of those things that it's nice to have. It almost turns into Travis talks about a turkey vest in some sense, where or a fly fishing vest where this is what you're taking and wearing. I'm sure you can probably relate to a fly fishing vest, JT.
Yep, and that's the one that I ultimately upgraded to. And I think the other thing to point out too is besides being comfortable, they're actually cut in the arms to accommodate for paddling and movement versus some of those other ones that are just your typical life jacket are up high into your ribs. If you have those and you do paddle, you're going to get a lot of uncomfortable skin and just you'll be hotter. So yeah, those ones that are cut up high and then also up the sides make a world of a difference for both safety and your enjoyment on the water.
Yeah, a lot of guys that I fish with, they on summertime, it's like it's a bigger, bulkier vest, so like you get hot, but some of those guys will take their shirts off, put their life jacket back on, and they're still able to get air on them and cool down and chill out. But I think the value in the NRS and the more pockets is the storage. You can put your fishing pliers in there, you can put a tether to your phone, you can put your fishing license, really whatever you feel like that you need to just quickly get into. And I mean, the nice part about those with those high back, that pockets, they sit down low, but you can adjust that to sit wherever you want on your body too. So it's pretty sweet.
And honestly, there's been a few times I've gone out where I didn't have mine on and I got lucky. So I just think the biggest thing is just incorporate that into your budget when you're looking at stuff. Some of this gear, if your budget is $2,000, that probably, we've talked about this in the past too, that probably doesn't mean go out and buy a $2,000 kayak. It means
Yeah.
leave yourself room for some of this gear that will make or break your experience on the water.
Yeah, for sure. Your paddle and a decent paddles anywhere from $100 to, $400 or $500 if you really want to go. If you're just paddling, you may want to invest in that. But I mean, if you figure, a pedal drive kayak, plan on $300 to $500 for just a life jacket and a paddle. If you can get lower than that, then you win and maybe go more into the kayak. But then you'll kind of know what you're looking for as far as the kayak you can get into. Old Town, they make a life jacket as well, very similar to the NRS. A bunch of front pockets. They've got some different, Velcro little hook keeper, which to me this reminds me of a fly vest. You see these little foam things, you can put little flies on there and whatnot. And maybe you get a life jacket for kayaking and fly fishing. Maybe that's it fits your need. But they've got other little pockets. Same high back. So if you are getting an Old Town, you want to match. That's one of those vests that you can get as well.
Yeah, really just to summarize it up quick, it's looking for, obviously you want to have any life jacket. So if all you can get into is just the standard one, that's okay. The big thing is just having it. And then look for pockets that are nice, but then also it's really that high back because most or all fishing kayaks come with a seat that does have a back to be more comfortable on the water all day. So having a life jacket that has that high back is pretty essential to staying comfortable and safe.
Yeah, and me personally, the life jacket I use is this NRS one, and this one's a little bit different. You'll see these ones a lot on the bass boat side, but this is an inflatable one. Um, some stuff to think about an inflatable is you've got two different styles. You've got ones that are manual, so that means if you fall out of the water, you manually have to pull the cord, and then they have some that are automatic as well. So hopefully it doesn't happen to anybody, but if you get hit or maybe you, I don't know, get in some sort of accident, you're not unconscious, the automatic ones are going to deploy. This one's kind of nice because it does have one pocket. so you can store some stuff in there. It's not going to be big enough for a phone or anything like that. Um, sometimes I think depending on if you have like a motor on your kayak or not, some states require you to have a whistle. So like in there, there's a little hook that holds my whistle. So if I do get into trouble and I've got to make some distress calls, I've got a whistle on me. Um, these are super nice because they're not as hot as the Chinooks or any of the other ones, but if it's one of those things where you want pockets and you want storage on you, then this is not the way you want to go. So there's kind of,
How
go
does the
ahead.
automatic one work?
So the automatic one will have like a little, I don't know if it's like a piece of cotton or piece of something, but it's got it in the deploy mechanism that once it gets wet, it'll release it. So once it gets submerged, and unfortunately this happened to me before a tournament one day. I dropped my life jacket in the water and just barely got wet, and all I hear is, this big old blow up, and the big old yellow thing comes out, and I was like, gosh, dang it! And unfortunately, I had my older life jacket, which is a regular one that I wore that day for the tournament, so I still had a life jacket on. But that's something you got to consider too. If you want to, if you're doing some river float and whatnot, and you want to get out of the water and go swimming, and you want to wear your life jacket while you're doing, the automatic one's probably not the best idea. So the nice part about the regular ones is you can get them wet, you can get them soaked, and they'll dry out and they'll still float. These ones you just gotta be more mindful of that as well. We also carry some of the Hobie branded ones. So if you want, like the Old Town one, if you want to match your Hobie, they make these as well. Similar idea. It's got one little pocket on the front. So if some must-have stuff, a knife or something like that. The other thing too with the inflatable ones is so it reminds me of old CO2 little BB guns is what it reminds me of. Is it's a little CO2 cartridge and that's what helps deploy these. That's what releases the air. You want to check those every year. It probably wouldn't hurt to check them every 6 months. Typically, you have some sort of indicator on there that'll tell you if it still has pressure or not, and you can always change that out pretty easily. And it's not crazy expensive to get one of those CO2 cans and put them on there and change them out. A lot of companies will make little kits, so if you have to put it in correctly or whatever installment, they usually have some sort of kit that will set you up with that as well. So, I mean, it really just depends on, what you're wanting. If you want pockets, you don't want pockets, you want, something lighter weight or, how you're, but, just have it on you, just make sure you have one. Safety's key on that kind of stuff.
The big thing, yeah, is just make sure it's on. And then, I mean, you can obviously start small and upgrade. I mean, maybe a standard one is good enough for you, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you might find out pretty quick that you really enjoy being on the water, and the last thing you want is your life jacket being the reason that you're popping off the water early.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. NRS also makes they make the Chinook and then they make a Chinook, which is designed for women. I'm assuming it's made a little bit different to fit women better. So if you're a female paddler, kayaker, you can look at those as well. I really think that those are the standard is typically what most people will go with. But I mean, there's tons of companies that make life jackets. I think, Mustang, I think Bass Pro makes some. I think there's a couple of different companies that makes different inflatables and whatnot. But find what you're looking for, figure out what you need, and kind of go from there.